Hello, world. Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here, and it is our night off, and we are at Frida's place. We have a couple of pines here. I've got it in my head that I wanted to clean these guys up, and I've had a look at them. They didn't need a whole lot, but what I have decided to do was pick out two of these and do a little bit of work. So these guys live out on the balcony in an area of the balcony I call the nursery. On the table with a lot of show hens, I have them divided up between a few show hens and mames that we're trying to keep very, very small. And they are in bonsai pots already. Their roots have been restricted by bonsai pots. They have had their candles cut. They have had their buds selected. They have had their needles thinned. And they have been off of food since mid-spring. The tray of Japanese black pines next to those are also pretty much still show hen in size. They were a part of the original batch. They don't have the same good life. Dare I say good life? These guys are getting fed. They are sometimes over potted, sometimes double potted, so that the roots can escape out of the bottoms of the pot into another pot that they can escape out of the bottom of if they want to. And they are, like I stated before, they're still getting fed. They never stopped getting fed. They will get fed year-round, whereas the little showier ones in the bonsai pots, their roots are restricted, their food is restricted, and their needle size should go down. Whereas on these guys, the needle size is already exceedingly long and no end in sight. But their color's good. They, frankly, to me, look a little overwatered. Also, some of these guys have last year's needles or third year, couldn't be third year needles. They're not 3 years old, I don't think. But last year's needles are looking a little long in the tooth. This guy has third year needles. Some of last year's needles on these guys are looking a little beat up, and we may look into that a little. Frankenpine is looking really good. I cut it loose from its zip ties and its wire bondage a little over a month ago, and its bins that we put in it held, but it began to relax pretty much quickly. So I bundled it, I rewrapped it in copper wire, and pressed some more bins into it, and I got them as tight as they would go under the current circumstances. In other words, with that gauge of wire. And if I went up with the gauge of wire, I wouldn't have been able to bend it because that wire would have been in its own way at that point. So what I did was I put a band around it here and a band around it here, and I ran those up and just squeezed up all my bundles. So it's probably not still quite as tight as it was, but I think it's really good. I like the motion we have in Frankenpine. I cleaned it up. I also pulled a little bit of clover out of it. Like I said, it's still getting fed. We can replace its food here in another couple of days with some more. It will continue to get fed right on around the season. This is the other side of Frankenpine, and we can see that it was one of the first trees that we started bending on. And I remember when I bent this tree up thinking, this is coming out really good, and this is fun and encouraging, and I love the way this looks. And I went, if it survives this, I will be so excited. And not only did Frankenpine survive that, it answered my move by backbutting profusely, and I was just in love with the process. Everything that we've done since was because this went so well. What didn't go well was I didn't start the root work early the way I did on these guys. And so when we did a repot, we were able to fix that somewhat with the angle. But that will, here's the drawback to that. I didn't get enough motion in that trunk when it came out of the ground when it started. So when we repotted it, I was able to change the angle and fix that. But had I done that, then I would have the option of changing the angle and just have it be absolutely wicked, sick, cool, whatever. You know, maybe too much. But I would have, had it not been so straight to begin with, changing the angle could be used to make the good great, or the great greater. Right now, I'm really happy. I'm not going to complain about Frankenpine. It's done great. It's giving back quite a bit for what I put into it. This long limb here that you see, I would kind of like to maybe turn that guy into a gin. Maybe have it come back this other way, coming in a ribbon or something. Anyway, that's not what we're doing tonight. This guy, let me show you this guy right quick. Got some good work on this guy. We've done some pretty good things. It comes out of the ground well. Right here. Comes out of the ground well. It's got good motion right off the bat. A little bit of roots are already exposed. It's plugged. Looks like it's gonna like there's good nabari. We've already got good nabari happening there. Our back branches are almost long enough. They are long enough, but there's no point. Let me get them long enough to where I can do something cool with them and start adding some wire to that. It is back budding nicely. It's a little long, and where it's long, I also have a slight issue right there. So, why am I frogging? It was a really dusty day. We have some fires are really bad right now in California. Today we had some pretty crappy air, and it just got smokier as the day went. Anyway, enough about the weather. What we're looking at here is what I'm not as crazy about this tree. It's doing really good. It's doing everything great. We did a candle cut, and that caused it to make more buds, and we cut that down to 2. And but whenever we were doing our bending and folding, I love so much of what's going on back here. It looks absolutely, look at that. And I just love that. I don't know. Personally, I find that very exciting, the way that moves and curves and rolls back on itself. Except I don't like where it collapses there. Just there. That's what I don't like. And look, we have a bud right here on top. Hi, bud. Right there. That could be our apex. I'm actually thinking that could be our apex. Broke, but it lived, and it snapped right there, and that was a collapse of a Cheerio. But man, how resilient, huh? Now, what else that's done is we have a pretty good amount of reverse taper going there, and then this part comes down, comes around, comes back up, and then makes our apex. How about sorry, pull focus, here we go. I'm just going to come right underneath here with my Nip-X. Watch this. Boom. We have a new apex. There's a new apex in town. We can cut that loose if I can see where to cut the wire. I can see where to cut the wire. What I learned about, I learned a little something about watching tonight. I learned a little something about gins and sharis on pines. And what the instructor I was listening to tonight was saying their favorite work when it came to gins, I'm not going to gin that because it's too fat, but their favorite work on, when it came to pines, when it came to gins and sharis on pines, was to not peel it back. Like you see it done on my Ponderosa. That's where somebody cut the limbs off, the new growth off, and then they set out to strip the bark off. It's fairly easy, I think, to strip the bark off when it's green. You can just kind of go around it with your gin pliers or something, and most of that stuff will just chew right off. However, it was pointed out that that tends to leave tool marks. What I was told tonight by Ryan Neal on his on school night was that leave the bark on, just let it dry out and flake off and come off in a natural way. And what it does on its own takes a little bit of time, but it looks more natural and won't leave plier marks or cut marks or potato peeler marks or whatever your bonsai tool is that scrapes off them. Now I have something that I'm planning on using very similar, which will be this, but and that'll be for gins. But when it comes, for sharis, which is a exposed part of a trunk or a big limb that's just exposed where the bark is gone and the trunk is exposed and probably bleached out. Whereas a gin, as you already know, is a limb or a branch or something that has died, and it's usually bleached out in color and aged and has this kind of lightning bolt look to it, and it's in contrast to the color of the living green. So what I was told tonight was when it came to making gins, don't be the one that takes the pliers and carves off all of the, because I was noticing well, for instance, when they said when the instructor said what they said tonight, I was particularly thinking about mine beforehand on my Ponderosa and wondering what I'm going to do about those tool marks that were probably left by bonsai tools. In all honesty, they're probably left by the type of tools that are bonsai tools for shearing stuff. So there, that's a little cleaner, and I did that with my wire cutters. Just okay. Now that's the new top in town. There's plenty of foliage still on this tree, so I don't think we're going to be hurt too bad. It'll be fun to maybe bring this guy back when we get a little age to us and that'll be our working height on this pine tree. That is kind of exciting. I think even though you look at that and go, wow, yeah, no, that's a lot of change. We just made a really, really cool change to this tree. There was one spot on it that we were either going to, everything we've done up to there is wicked cool. I mean, it's just, look at that. Isn't that just neat as heck? That's really, that says canyon tree. But we had 2 inches of more of tree there with just a little hoop in it. And I really didn't like the feature past that. So I think that just settled us right in to something really cool for that tree. We have just done a drastic change in my mind to the look of this tree for the better. And that's a little all the way around look. The roots and all look cool coming through there. You can kind of see those guys doing their thing. All right, there was one other tree that I was looking to do some probably a little bit more extensive work with. And let's look at this guy. Now, this is a little pine tree. It's in a wax milk carton full of substrate. And that has got a little vinyl pot sitting in it. So the pine is sitting in this full of substrate, sitting in this full of substrate. This is wired down to this. This has roots coming out of the bottom. So, which that tells us that this has got roots going through it, filling it up pretty good. They're coming out of the bottom. I don't know how much full this is of roots, but I do know they're coming out of the bottom of it too. It is also one of the bigger ones of these trees. Its color is really good. We did cut the candles on it too. Of course, that wouldn't have anything to do at all with needle size because it's overpotted and it can have all the roots it wants, and we're still feeding it for that reason. We cut the candles so that it would back bud more, and we reduced that by 2. And unlike the last tree, no, I probably won't be cutting the candle off so it'll back bud, only to cut the top off the tree. I didn't know I was going to do that then. I did tonight. It's just the way that goes. Sorry, kid. Tough break. Yeah. That would work. All right. I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking that I should probably just see if I can lay a wire in here amongst these guys and see how that goes. And then once we've done that, we can put some motion in the top of this tree. That is kind of what I'm thinking. Probably do a little preformed hook there. Bring our tree back in. Bring our tree back into the movie. I'm going to bring the table back into the movie too. There we go. Now, right focus. Bring that down a little. So what I would like to do is, I don't know what I'd like to do. I'd like to put some motion in this tree is all I'm really thinking, guys. I want to go this way. Is this too heavy of a wire? Did I pick too heavy of a wire to do this? I might have. Bail out. Go smaller. You can always double it if you need to. Okay. Yeah, this feels a lot better. Also, by the time this gets a little work hardened, we should really be good to go. Work hardened. That's why your wire gets harder to bend the farther up the tree it goes. Also, it gets shorter and you were using its length as leverage. But more than that, some of it actually gets work hardened. Which is the opposite of annealed, I guess. I'm trying to be more deliberate about not wiring needles. It's like, first you're afraid of wiring, you know, and when you're afraid of wiring, it doesn't matter if you wire the damn needles. You're afraid of breaking the tree in half. You know, needles, what needles? Then either you break a few trees and get over it, or you don't break a few trees and get arrogant, or whatever has to happen, and you find yourself moving down the little evolutionary ladder there, and the next thing you know, you're watching other people's videos, and they start telling their viewers what is wrong with wiring needles. And so you're like, oh, right, so now I have to not break the tree in half, not break the limbs in half, not knock the buds off, not let the wire bite in, and I have to not wire down any needles. Well, in this case, I kind of already covered a couple of times the best way to go about that. Just to give up the goat early and go through and pluck a lot of these needles. I didn't do that going in, but having not done that, that doesn't mean I'm going to just wire them all down either. And she wires them all down. Probably have a couple. I don't have a whole lot. Yeah, I do. I have a whole lot. There's a whole lot right there. Yes, no? That's pretty close. I'm going to give myself, yeah, it's late. I'm going to be generous and give myself I won't be generous. That's a B. That's a solid B. That's the wire. That's the old wire I'm crossing over. But that's okay too. Okay. Is that enough wire to do anything on there? Yeah, probably. Oh yeah. Where are we going? Where do you want to go? I think I already know where I'm going. You already know where I'm going to, don't you? Raw. That wire size turned out to be perfect. That was just doable, but kind of only just. Okay. I want to go down more and come up more. Yeah, I want to go down more and I want to come up more. Yeah. How'd we do? We made a difference in this little tree. Now, when this gets a little bit of age to it, we'll put some motion in that guy. We'll take it down and snake it around and do something cool with it. I can go back through there and cut a few more. It's getting thick with buds. I thought I cut that back, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I haven't done a bud selection on there. There still looks like there's a whole lot of buds in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did. I cut some buds out of there, and more of them are coming back out. So yeah, I can go back through and clean that up a little more. Maybe not tonight. I like what we've done to both of these trees. I think we took this one up a notch, and I also believe that we did a bold little chop. We did a bold little chop on this guy. But look at that. That is a canyon tree worthy of a front row seat in the canyon, I think. I mean, that top looked kind of funny the way it's just a little, but it wasn't the apical dominant top 30 minutes ago. And part of that wire that you see wrapped around the top there like a sweater, I can go back and cut all that loose. It's absolutely redundant at this point, but I don't have to do that right now. So that's going to look better when I clean that up, when I clean that wire out of there. All right. That was fun. That was it was a long day at work. I didn't want to go too crazy, but that was our little start. That was our little start into our with these guys. Tomorrow night or the next round, I will go back through, and I've got 3 more rounds of trees like this that are all out of these 2 batches of 10. So we can do this at least once or twice more. If I see where I need, out of the 5 trees that I have here, I did something fairly good. I did a fair amount of work to 2 of them, and I did a little bit of needle reduction before we started. Truth be known, I dropped a video tonight. I was about 20 minutes in on cleaning up these trees, and we did our little thing that we do sometimes when we drop the video. It just, boom, went down. So we started over. We didn't have to clean them up anymore. We had already done that. And I decided, well, this was something I decided I wanted to do later. And so we just went ahead and decided to do that tonight. And I thought, yeah, we can throw wire in that and definitely make that better. And in the end, I'm way more excited about my plan B. I mean, this is just total honesty here. I'm way more excited about our plan B than the video I started making that was a little longer than this when it went kaput. So I think we're not going to go kaput. I think we'll be able to keep this one. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Our next drop will be tomorrow in the sunshine. And then tomorrow night, we will likely bring in another couple of little pines that we haven't been paying enough attention to. All of these guys, like I was saying earlier, they're all getting fed. Their color is all pretty good, maybe a little overwatered. I have to make heavy and hard decisions some mornings before I'll leave for work. And right now our weather is a little hot one day, 62 the next, and when I leave, it's like they almost need water. And so, you know, too many times I'll water them, and I probably shouldn't have. But they're not. Nobody's in bad shape. What I would worry about more is missing the water, and then our temperature just creeps right on up without my knowing it to like 90 degrees and kills everybody. I appreciate you. Our baby Frida appreciates you. She's just been over here being the perfect angel. None of her parts. She did all of her parts way better than we did some of our parts. Her parts went okay, yeah, okay. All right, there you go. How about that? You're in focus and everything. Thank you so much for watching.